Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Welcome in to Game Day Live. Paul Catalina flying solo today because David and Craig Smoke last night were in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think they're still in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's not like they have a private jet or anything, but they're in Lincoln, Nebraska for Nebraska versus Illinois. Former Baylor coach Matt Rule helped set Smokey, a lifelong Nebraska fan, up with some tickets and an experience at the game because he had never been to a game at Memorial Stadium before. So you get me today, all by my lonesome. That's what you get. Garrett Ross is here as well, and he'll have keys to the game. But in case you're wondering, oh my God, what happened to the Smokes? I didn't do anything to them, and I don't care what the police say. No, they are in Lincoln, Nebraska. They're fine. They're had a great time in spite of the fact that the Huskers lost 31-24 in overtime in what was a fantastic, fantastic game. But we're here to talk about Baylor and Colorado today in Boulder. Royden Ogletree will join us in just a couple of minutes. But first off, this game is really hard to peg because Colorado, a 1-point favorite at home, which, you know, essentially now you're down to a pick-em line, right? You're down to this could go either way. Both these teams are 2-1. Both of them, we know what their flaws are. We know exactly what these teams' flaws are. And, you know, for Colorado, they have a complete and total inability to run the ball, and they're not all that great at stopping the run, although that appears to be slightly improving week to week. Baylor, you know, maybe not as great in the offensive line, haven't been truly tested outside of Utah, and, you know, they've got a bit of a quarterback situation that's now going back and forth with DeQuan Finn being injured and Sawyer Robertson more likely to make the start today. Let's go ahead and bring in Royden Ogletree from Colorado. Royden, you look fantastic out there in the morning. Let's put on your meteorologist hat. There was allegedly, according to the meteorologists, the weather scam artists that they are, saying that it was going to be rainy tonight. But right now, I mean, look, we've got a long time before the game happens. But right now, it looks like a beautiful day in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it was about 50 degrees when we woke up this morning. I don't know where you're from, but that dog will hunt, as they say out here in Colorado. Yeah, when we were coming in, we were really determined to have all the weather gear and everything just in case. We were even bringing trash bags just in case we needed that to cover the camera. But right now it's great, and I got to say, I may not come back. And I'm sure Brady Taylor and everyone at KWTX will love the scam artist line. But no, I think maybe the rain will hold off until tomorrow. But it looks like we should be in for a good night here in Colorado, maybe a little bit chillier than these Baylor players are used to.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Brady. I'm not afraid of him. He and I have a long-standing rivalry. No. Weather versus sports. It's the Romans versus the Visigoths. Like, it goes back that long. But Royden, I was just talking about how it is very difficult to peg this game given the proficiencies and deficiencies of each team. And it feels like one thing or the other is going to pop either way for someone. For Baylor, I would say defensively, can their cornerbacks keep up with Travis Hunter, the best player in the country, with Jimmy Horn Jr., with Ajante Wester, and Will Shepherd? Because Colorado's not going to run the ball. They show no willingness or propensity to do it, but can that Baylor secondary keep pace with Colorado's wide receivers?
You know, it's hard to say, and you said in the open, they haven't really been tested. I mean, of course, they took on Tarleton at the very beginning of the year, and that wasn't always going to be, or that was always going to be a pretty easy road for the Baylor Bears. And then you knock Cam Rising out in the first half of that game, and of course, their backup comes in, and I said on our show the other day, he's 7 years younger than Cam Rising actually is, so he had to come in. and he played well last week, but he wasn't prepared to take on that Baylor team and what Dave Aranda was throwing at him. And then, like, Air Force is essentially not doing the forward pass. They're like back in the 1950s. So it's easy to say that Baylor has the leading pass defense in the country at 75 yards, only allowing 75 yards a game. But like you said, they haven't been tested. Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter are a completely different animal. And I think Shedeur Sanders, I mean, outside of Cam Rising, who they didn't get to see for a full game, if they see Shedeur Sanders for a full game, he will easily be the best quarterback that they have faced this year going forward.
The Baylor offensive line is it appears to be improved from a year ago. Still not probably exactly what everybody wants to see, but the new scheme appears to have helped. They're able to run the ball very well, and they've got 4 running backs who they feel comfortable handing the rock to, but I get the feeling we might see a little bit more of Bryson Washington today. Yeah,
he ran the ball angry in that game, and he had an unfortunate fumble, but it seemed that everybody on the Baylor team had the case of the dropsies. They just were throwing the ball all over the field, it felt like. But Bryson Washington started a little bit injured in the offseason, and he comes in, and there's a reason that they were so highly touted about that prospect. I mean, you saw him play, I'm sure, in high school, and I covered him at Franklin. He single-handedly almost willed that team to 2 straight state championships, running for 2,000 yards his senior year. And this is why I don't think that this star rating system for recruiting makes any sense. A kid rushes for 2,000 yards, leads his team to 2 straight state championships, 3 stars. That's all you get. And so I think you see exactly kind of what you saw in the second half against Air Force. They're going to really pound the rock with Pendergrass and Washington. And then Richard Reese, like we said on our show the other day, is probably going to try. They're probably going to try to get him on the outside and pop them for a big run. And they've throughout this Dion tenure, they've kind of showed the inability Colorado has to stop that run. So I think not asking whoever it is at quarterback, Sawyer Robinson, DeQuan Finn, I have a feeling it's probably going to be Robertson after his performance last week, but asking them to make easy completions, easy throws down the field to people that are open, and then pop those big runs. I think you're going to see a heavy dose of that tonight.
Roy, I think they're given an opportunity here. Sometimes the football gods shine upon you to allow, like DeQuan Finn did not play well against Utah at all. Of all the games he's played in his entire career, I'm sure that's the one he's like, please give me that one back. It was not his day, and he got a little banged up. In that game, was in a sling last week and didn't play. Sawyer Robertson came in and was dealing, especially in the second half last week. They've given the opportunity to ride the hot hand and also not create a quarterback controversy in the process, and that they can let DeQuan heal a little bit more, let Sawyer Robertson play because he played well last week, and see what it is there. I think it just makes all the sense in the world for Sawyer to roll out as Baylor's quarterback today.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, honestly. I mean, you saw him make the easy throws and down the field, and it just looked more fluid, the offense did, when he was in at quarterback. And, of course, everybody's going to struggle against that Utah defense. It's you're not breaking any news there. But he also DeQuan didn't look that sharp in the first game, throwing interceptions in that first game to an inferior opponent. No offense to that team, but you shouldn't be throwing interceptions in this offense to that opponent. And so Sawyer, in his limited time, I think has looked more sharp. And this is why you wanted to try and keep both quarterbacks in the system, and that to keep with the transfer portal, it's so easy for somebody to transfer out and to I didn't get the starting job, so I'm going to go. But credit to Sawyer Robinson, and look, it was a little late in the process when they named a starting quarterback, but credit to him for sticking around. And now he has the opportunity to, really, if he plays well, start from here on out. It would take him playing poorly to get DeQuan back in there if and when he's healthy.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity, because of DeQuan Finn's athleticism, maybe down the line, to create some different packages that could be super, super creative on the offense. All right, tell the people who are watching the show today, and hello to all of you, what Boulder, Colorado, like if they go to a Colorado game, what's the game day experience like? I mean, you're not to the game, but like, what is the city like?
Well, the city, I've been here once before. We came up here to go to the national park, and it's just a beautiful, vibrant city, very active city that I've seen. Now, granted, we're on the college campus, and I don't think these college kids could be bothered to be up this early.
Yeah.
We do see some people stirring, but we were traveling to come to get this beautiful live shot that you see. Shout out to Jake Ward for setting up these live shots, but we were traveling to come and get this live shot set up. Nothing a lot going on right now, but they do have several tailgate areas set up. And I saw a gin and juice tent from one Snoop Dogg sponsor. And so I think you'll see a lot of branded, one Colorado content, of course, but a lot of branded celebrity content now that Dion has this thing up and humming. And I think that this will be it's a homecoming game. It's a whiteout game. So I think we'll see the stands packed about 3 hours before game time is when I've seen that people start tailgating. So we'll try to come out here and get you a better representation of that for our later shows. But right now, no one's really out enjoying the beautiful weather, and I can't really wrap my head around it. I'd probably be up, and I don't really run that well, but I'd probably be up going on a jog if I lived in this kind of weather and I wasn't going to die in the humidity of Waco, Texas.
Have you hit a breakfast spot yet?
No, we're going to try to go to, I think it's called the Village Coffee Shop. It's a diner right in the shadow of the campus. So we're going to try and go there here in a minute and maybe get some coffee. And then I'm going to go try and take a really good nap because I don't know if you know this, we're an hour behind. And so up and early at 6 a.m. this morning. So we're going to go hit up, maybe get some pancakes and take a hard sleep.
TV people and their hours. Just ridiculous. Royden Ogletree, live from Boulder. Royden, thanks a lot. Appreciate the coverage. And you can see me and Royden together on Tuesdays on the Triple Option right here on 365 Sports at 1 o'clock. We do that every single week. Royden, enjoy Boulder. We'll talk to you next week. Coming up next, we hear from Baylor players Brooks Miller and Josh Cameron on their thoughts about Colorado this week. Then Garrett Ross's keys to the game. This is 365 Sports.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. Get out of the heat and come check out our Labor Day sales event in the largest showroom in Texas at Bird Colgin Ford. Right now, get 3.9% on the F-150. Save big with 2.9 on the Ford Explorer. Don't miss 1.9 on the Ford Escape. Come celebrate the final days of summer during the Labor Day sales event at Bird Colgin Ford. Experience better at BK Ford.
I started my career caring for patients here in Central Texas as a critical care nurse and now as a nurse practitioner. I've seen people suffering from chronic pain and I have seen how it can change their lives.
Allison takes the time to listen to her patients. She spends time with her patients. And I've seen a glimmer of sense of humor with her that I value. For anyone experiencing pain, I would encourage them to visit Pain Specialist of America.
KWTX Dynamic Grid of Skycams in Central Texas shows you the weather right where you are. Live images around Central Texas are available 24 hours a day on air and online. And with the most experienced weather team in Central Texas, KWTX Skycam Network lets us give you real-time views of extreme weather in and around your community. Sponsored by Ray Broker Air Conditioning, serving all of Central Texas. Ray Broker is home of the free first service call.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
How comfortable do you feel with him? It seemed like you and him had a pretty good connection going there in the Air Force game.
Oh yeah, no, I feel super comfortable with Sawyer. Really going back to like last year, whenever he had to step up too, whenever Blake got hurt. And then kind of just the same situation. DQ unfortunately got hurt, but it was kind of like I was saying, I forgot, I think it was the fall camp scrimmage. I was like, you know what I'm saying, both those dudes, they got the arm talent, they got the smartness, they can both make it happen. So whenever Sawyer just stepped to the plate, it was just, you know what I'm saying, it felt good for sure.
Primetime game, going on the road against Dion. How excited are y'all for Saturday's game?
Honestly, I would just say the whole team's just treating it like every other game, kind of like a faceless, nameless opponent, no matter how big the Colorado name is or whatever. We're just treating it like another game week. We're going to prepare the same exact way, and we're just going to execute out there.
Kind of a similar situation against Utah in that primetime slot. What did y'all learn from that y'all are going to take into this weekend?
Just the main key would just be starting fast, just being on our details from the get-go, not just trying to kind of feel our way into the new environment, things like that, but just starting fast, just starting from the get-go.
After the Utah game and then your performance in Air Force, do you feel like you're playing some of your best ball right now?
I would say, yeah, I'm definitely playing some of my best ball. I just want to keep on really just doing whatever I can to help the team, though, at the end of the day, whether that be making 5 catches, 1 catch, whatever it takes to win, you know what I'm saying, I'm happy as long as that happens. But
how cool has it been to see the defense perform the way that they have to start the year?
Oh, it's been awesome. I'm not going to lie. Just seeing them ball out, just make plays, fly around, rally to the ball, just be aggressive all the time. It gives the offense just kind of like a breath of fresh air, and just knowing that we got just a hard defense at our back, basically.
How much are you looking forward to going to Colorado and kind of starting conference play kind of in an environment with an opponent like this?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I'm just excited to get into conference play. Doesn't really matter who the opponent is. Colorado's got a lot of swag. The home field advantage, I think it's pretty good up there, so it'll be nice to get up there. I like that the sidelines are tight. It's kind of like an Oklahoma State kind of vibe. So you get to hear the fans a lot chirping at it, and get to use it as juice. So that's cool. Against
Utah, it's kind of a similar situation. What did y'all learn from that game that y'all can take into this weekend?
We learned that you can't start slow and hope to finish strong, because for talking defensively, we in the second half pretty much shut out. But you look at the first 2-3 drives, it was not Baylor defense, not the new standard, not what we do, and so we gotta go into Colorado and do what we do for 4 quarters straight.
How do you keep this really good defensive momentum going? Because you've played really well for the first 3 games here. How do you keep it going into this game? Is it hard?
I would say it's just doing your job. It's just got to be more about not, it's kind of like people say all the time, I hate losing more than I like winning. It's kind of like, for me, I know I hate messing up my job more than I like doing my job, because if I mess up, they're going to exploit it, especially with a team like Colorado. They're looking for the mismatches, they're going to get it, and they're going to go to it every time. So if I'm not in the right position, it's going to mess up my teammates.
Through 3 weeks, y'all played a lot of run-heavy teams. What kind of challenges does Colorado present now that they pass the ball a lot more?
The challenges that they present is all of their skill guys are NFL talent. You look inside and out, any of those guys can really go to the league. Quarterbacks, great quarterback, a lot of respect for them. And even offensively, a lot of people like to talk about their O-line, but I think for an O-line, they're very athletic. So, we got to be good with our feet and get into the backfield.
Now that it's been 3 games throughout the year, what has Coach Aranda really meant for y'all on the defense? Because he's out there calling plays and firing y'all up on the sidelines and stuff.
No, it means a lot. I think you can see it. I think, people on social media like to talk about it now. It's a different Coach Aranda. I don't think it's necessarily a different Coach Aranda. It's just more that you might see on game day. I think it's the same Coach Aranda that we've always had. And it's just kind of, pushing to be the team that we can be. And, having him do what he's doing, pretty much what he's always been doing, and just having guys now taking it to heart. I think not a lot of guys, took it as, hey, is he talking to me? I think everybody was kind of like, oh, it's not me. No, it's all of us. So having that this year and, realizing, hey, I got to be better is what's going to make us better.
How cool was it to see the offense kind of rolling, specifically in the second half on Saturday?
It's cool seeing them roll, because we seen them do it all during camp. I think the first 2 games our offense didn't play the way that they know that they can play. They'll tell them that yourself. And it's just cool to see, like, our receivers do what they do during 7-on-7, during team periods. It's cool to see our quarterbacks, balling out just like they do every day. So, and to see B-Watch back, it was really cool to see him, because he had a great camp, so it was really cool to see him get out there and ball.
Devin Bobby, I know he's a safety or a linebacker, all that. How much do you interact? And I guess what sort of leadership has he brought to the defense as a whole that you've noticed?
I think he's a safety that likes to crack. not a lot of safeties want to get in that run fit, but I think both Devin Lemire and D-Bob, they both not scared to, put their head down and, get to work in that box. It's just good to have for a defense like we have where sometimes they got to get in the box. So it's not something that we have to scheme around like a lot of teams will kind of have to, hey, I don't want to get him in the fit. So it's good to have them, and just especially for a linebacker, I can always trust that he'd be out there.
That was Brooks Miller, linebacker, and wide receiver Josh Cameron at the media availability earlier this week. Coming up next, Garrett Ross and his keys to the game. Then I talk one-on-one with Grayson Grunhafer of Sikkim365.com. That's all coming up on Game Day Live.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with a Baylor Club membership today.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Make Camp Finfo the destination for your next visit to Waco. Whether you're catching a football game, exploring the silos, or just looking to get away, Camp Finfo Waco is conveniently located 6 miles from downtown and Baylor University. Voted the #1 best vacation rental in Waco for the last 2 years, this camping resort features cabins and RV sites and is brimming with premium amenities like on-site dining, sports courts, a swimming pool, and more. Start making unforgettable memories and book your stay at Camp Finfo Waco.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim365 and KWTX News 10.
Back into Game Day Live. I'm Garrett Ross with today's Keys to the Game presented by Richard Carr Motors. Last week, Baylor went out and took care of Air Force in their final non-conference game of the season, 31-3. And while it really wasn't pretty in the first half, especially on offense, I think you saw Baylor do a good job of making the adjustments necessary during halftime and coming out and taking care of business. I think Sawyer Robertson looked really good in this offense as QB1 as he got the nod over to Quan Finn, who suffered an injury the week prior against Utah. And the offense honestly looked a lot better with Sawyer at the helm. I think Sawyer did a good job of identifying his playmakers on the outside, getting the ball out quick to them. But it also helps anytime you can get a good rushing game established, no matter who you are at quarterback, to alleviate some of the pressure, which is what Baylor was able to do last week. And you're really going to need that again this week as you head into Colorado to take on the Buffaloes in what's going to be their homecoming match. Fox, primetime affair. All eyes are going to be on this game. And if you're Baylor, I think you have a good opportunity to control the ball with your rushing attack and just kind of take take advantage of this opportunity to keep Colorado's potent offense off the field. So let's start with this. Our first key to the game is really going to be eliminate the turnovers. While Baylor looked really good last week at times in the first half, every progress that they were able to establish was delayed and set back by fumbles. You had multiple fumbles in the first half, 3 turnovers. That is something you cannot have, especially as you head into conference play. And when you go up against a potent offense like Colorado, you can't have the turnovers and give the ball to them. So especially in great field position for them to try to light you up. Air Force wasn't able to take advantage of that. Colorado will be able to take advantage of that. So I think if Baylor wants to go into hostile territory and get away with a win, they cannot afford to have costly turnovers like that. So that's going to be our first key to the game, is taking care of the ball. The second key to the game is pretty simple. How do you hold up in the secondary? Baylor's secondary has not been tested this season whatsoever. Carl Williams was not able to play last week, and he wasn't able to play against Utah. Hopefully you can get him back in this game because you're definitely going to need him. When you look at Colorado's offense, there's really no threat of a rushing attack. The Buffs do not like to run the ball. When you look at Shedeur Sanders in the pocket, this is a guy who, while he can run with his legs, obviously, he's going to run with his legs. But when he can run, he doesn't want to. He wants to be a pocket passer. He wants to be efficient. He wants to look down the field, and he wants to get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. And there's a lot of talent on the offensive side, whether it's LeJonte Wester, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn Jr. There's a lot of talent over there, and Baylor hasn't been able to really been tested in that facet this year. So that's going to be really intriguing. Can Baylor hold up? We saw flashes last year of what Caden Jenkins could do. How good is Caden Jenkins? We're going to find that out on Saturday. How good is Devin Bobby? We're going to find that out on Saturday. So I really like what Baylor's been able to do in their front seven. Their defense has been lights out this season, but the secondary, you're going to need to step up in this matchup. And if you can hold up against the talent that Colorado can throw at you, I don't think there's another team or an offense that you face this season that should give you any troubles personally. That's just my opinion. And the final key to this game, win in the trenches. We saw Baylor. We know their offensive line is still a weakness. I mean, that just is what it is. But I think you've seen progression from that unit, and I like where they're heading. Is it something that you want to bank your hat on and say it's a strength? No, it's not, but it's progress, and that's all you can ask for. But when you look at this game, I think when you look at Baylor, the past 2 matchups, right, you went to Utah and you faced arguably the most physical team you're going to see all year. You back that up with facing an Air Force team who they are extremely physical. Military kids, they're bruisers, and they run that triple option offense, which I did not like for Baylor to face last week coming off that game against Utah. But you've gone up against 2 really physical teams in back-to-back weeks, and you held your own. Colorado is not physical. They are very finesse. I think Baylor can dominate in the trenches in this game, and if their offensive line can hold up and they can create holes for their rushing attack, and you can rotate about 3 or 4 running backs in there and keep Shedeur Sanders and that offense off the field, I think that can lead to Baylor having success and coming out victorious. On the flip side of that, your defensive line can create pressure against this Colorado offensive line. They're not very good as well. They're really not. They've struggled really the entire time Coach Prime has been there in Boulder, and that's been the Achilles heel for this unit. You saw Shedeur go off on the unit on the offensive line a couple of weeks ago. While they're gelling and they're getting better, I don't think they're ready to compete with what Baylor can throw at them from the defensive line and the linebacker position. I think Baylor could go into this game and make things extremely hectic for Shedeur Sanders, and if they want to get a win, that is exactly what they're going to have to do. I think this is going to be a close matchup. I got Baylor winning this one 35-34. I don't see this really being more of a 3-point spread. I don't see this game, whoever wins this game, I don't see it being more than 3 points. But I think Baylor can go in, defense travels, and I trust Dave Aranda. I think Baylor goes in and gets their first win in Big 12 play, and they can continue to push this into some success as they make a run towards a bowl game. That's going to do it for today's Keys to the Game. We'll be back with more Game Day Live right after this.
Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
What sets Hillcrest Dental Care apart is our vision of how we want to care for our patients to improve their health and their quality of life, whether it's the teeth, the gums, the bite, or the smile.
Because I didn't feel anything at all. When I woke up there, I had everything done. I go to the restaurant to eat, and the waitress said this, "You got new teeth." So they noticed them too. If you want something done that is good and permanent there, this is the place to go.
KWTX presents the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show on News 10. Catch highlights from teams all across Central Texas every Friday night at 10. The Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show on KWTX News 10 is sponsored by Greg May Honda and in part by Slovacek's, the Good Feet Store, and the Zimmerman Law Firm.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Watch live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Garrett Barnett, former Northwestern and Colorado football coach, Colorado Radio, joins us. He's been with us before. Great to have Coach Barnett on the show today. Coach, thank you very much for your time. How important was it with what you saw with Colorado bouncing back from Lincoln and basically taking care of business in what is an emotional game against Colorado State?
Well, that was a must-win game for us. After what happened in Lincoln, and I got to tell you, I've been in Lincoln a lot of times, and I've never seen them as fired up as they were. That crowd just took our kids out of it right away, and they weren't ready for that. And we were stunned, I think. Even though we recovered, we got knocked out, almost out, and we sort of recovered and played the second half decently. It was 10-0 us in the second half, but by that time all the damage was done. But we really needed a win, and last year's game with Colorado State was, we had to go 98 yards with 2 minutes left to score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion just to get to overtime. So we knew that that team, first of all, they were stunned to have lost that game. And then it's a little bit of a bitter rivalry here in the state. It's a little bit more them towards us than us towards them, but it didn't make any difference. We were playing at their place. So it was a much needed win. It wasn't beautiful, but it was pretty doggone good.
Coach, how many players have you seen in your life that, at the college level at least, live on the level that Travis Hunter is on right now?
None. I've never seen like Travis Hunter, and I told everybody that. He's the best football player I've ever seen, a skill player. He's and it's funny because when they had their first spring practices, they didn't have numbers on any of their players, and so I was getting the video, watching practice, and there was one guy I knew who Travis Hunter was. He didn't need a number, and then when I saw him in person and watched him, I've just never seen anybody in practice and everything. I've never seen anybody have the body control, the competitiveness, the intuition, the instincts, the speed, all of the hands. He's just got this drive about him that when the ball goes up in the air, it's his, whether he's on offense or defense. And I've never seen anybody like him, that's for sure. And the fact that he's going both ways, that's a big bonus for Colorado to have the best two players in the game on their team. So he's sensational. He really is. Not from this planet.
Coach, there's times, especially in those first couple games, it felt like we were watching a very similar team to last year, maybe slightly better in some areas, but very much still about Shedeur in the passing game, very much about Travis Hunter and the rest of the wide receivers. Where do you feel like Colorado's maybe noticeably better, or what stands out to you about being different from last year's team from what you've seen so far?
I don't know that they're much different than they were last year. I really don't. I think they've probably got a little more depth up and down the board, both offensively and defensively. They've had two guys out in the secondary, and they're doing just fine at the safety spots. And so I think they're a very similar team to what they were last year. They're winning in the same way. They're never going to be a team that really tries to hurt you with the run. I think that they're going to throw it at you, and I'd say differently. Defensively, they're a little bit different. I think that, in fact, Baylor and Colorado are very, very similar defensively as I watch them. So, but I say they're very much the same team. They really do. They have a lot of skill and a lot of speed at the receiver spot. Running backs, we don't know a whole lot about, but it's a whole new room. And then the offensive line is a tad better than it was a year ago. And, I think it's young, and so as a result, it'll get better. Last year's line wasn't going to get any better, but this one's young, and I think as each game goes along, it'll get a little better.
Can you protect your quarterback if you cannot run the ball?
Well, that's always an issue for us. And as an old coach, no, you can't. It's really hard. And so that was our dilemma last year. So far, it's shown up to be our dilemma this year. Now, CSU tried to put pressure on us, but we held up pretty doggone well. Let me tell you what, Shedeur Sanders is a really good quarterback. He can throw the rock. He doesn't get rattled. He handles pressure really well because he's seen a lot of it. And I don't know whether you like him or you don't like him, but the doggone guy can play football.
Gary Barnett, former Colorado Northwestern football coach, Colorado Radio with us on 365 Sports.
On Shedeur, I mean, clearly he's very outspoken. He's very brash. He's got that. I mean, he's got a lot of his dad in him when it comes to that. But does he have maybe a little bit of growing up to do just to maybe deal with some of the things that come with being not only a quarterback but a celebrity quarterback now?
Well, he's a product of his environment, and the apple didn't fall very far from the tree. And so, we all have things to learn, and he certainly isn't a finished product yet, but he's a good quarterback, I can tell you that. And he doesn't always do the things you and I might want him to do, but I think he's well respected by his teammates, and he can spin the rock, that's for sure.
Coach, I know that Baylor doesn't roll in as like the hottest team in the world by any stretch, but they've had their fair share of success over the last decade plus. Just what's do you think going to be like the atmosphere for a Big 12 conference game in Boulder, the first time in a long time? And is there any thought about Baylor really in terms of this matchup?
I don't know because the generation of people watching this game didn't grow up with Baylor being around. So it'll be different, but it doesn't make any difference. Any game that we have right now, it's going to be sold out. It's going to be rocking. There's going to be movie stars, rock stars, rap stars. There's going to be everybody on the sideline and at the game, and it'll be a show. It really will be, and it has been since day one. And whether we were winning or losing or first game or last game, it's a crazy environment now, unlike any I ever was a part of. Even when we were winning a national championship, we didn't have this kind of atmosphere. So I think last year the best example was it was Nebraska, and it was our first home game, and I talked to people out there that didn't even know if the ball had air or paper. They'd come to see who was coming to the game. So you're going to have that factor. You're going to have 1,000 or so people are there just to see who's there, but and they'll be there the whole time. Student body will be great, so it'll be a hard atmosphere to play in.
Gary, Baylor beat Air Force. It was 3 turnovers in the first half. Otherwise, they were moving the ball. The defense has played better, but obviously Colorado's offense is going to test that in every way with what they can do, especially with the passing game. Baylor went to a different quarterback because DeQuan Finn was out and had a sling on his right arm. Sawyer Robertson managed the game pretty well. Played a little bit last year, but they weren't very good at all. How would you handle this as a coach when you have a player who comes in, they look pretty good, they look really good in the second half, and yet we were told today by Dave Aranda that DeQuan Finn was back and practicing today?
Well, I think you have a starting quarterback for a reason. He won the job for a reason, and the only way you can lose a job is with an injury. I think that's pretty common among coaches. I don't know that your sample is big enough right now to be able to change your quarterback. I think two more games into it, 3 more games into it, and you're struggling, and the other guy's playing pretty well. Then I think you got a sample size that probably can justify making a change. But I think it's really hard to make a change. It speaks to your team a lot too. Now, there's 2 things. It shows your loyalty, but it also your team can say, well, maybe he's not the best player. Aren't you going to give us the best player? But I think David's going to be loyal to his guys, and the guy won the job, and there's got to be a reason he won the job.
Gary Barnett with us, 365 Sports. Baylor and Colorado and Boulder on Saturday night.
So is that one of the more difficult things you have to do when, a team could really like a quarterback personally, and they could really support him, and he could be a good guy, but if he's struggling and they start to lose faith and it's maybe kind of in the back of their heads, is that the hardest trigger to pull maybe in coaching?
Well, I think it's really hard because it's the quarterback. And I had a very similar situation in 2001. And, our starter for 3 or 4 games gets hurt. And then we put the backup in and first game, and we lose Texas. And then the starter still can't play. And then all of a sudden we catch fire with this guy, and he's playing really well. And the other kid was the captain. And so I had to make a decision when we got down to the bowl game because he finally got back. And I said, I'm playing the guy that got us here. I'm going to do that. And, of course, it upset the captain and some of the players. But most of the players realized by then that this kid had led us to the Big 12 championship game, or was about to. So, that's a tough deal. But you say, he wins the job for a reason. And you can't just lose it on one game. Now, you can lose it on 3 or 4, but I don't think you can lose it on one game.
So, Gary, what was the one thing you see, or the Deion year 1 with Colorado compared to year 2, and there's only been 3 games, that you see he might be doing better?
I think he's more aware now of how good everybody is that they're about to play. I think last year he just thought that perhaps the talent that they had in the perimeter would just win because he's a skill guy.
Mm-hmm.
He never got down and put his hand on the ground and blocked a 3 technique or, had to go around the nose guard. And he was a sensational skilled athlete. And I don't know that he had a total appreciation for what goes on inside. And I think that's down in the trenches. And I think that's where he really tried to make this team better, both sides of the ball. And so I would say that appreciation for 1, how good everybody is that you're going to play. And then 2, how important those big guys are at this level, because they could get away with it at Jackson State, but you can't get away with it here.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Always respect what you've done. Gary Barnett won that Big 12 title back in 2001 with that win against
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
If you need a system repair or replacement, call the good folks at Clark Heating and Air Conditioning. They're family owned and operated since 1999 and offer best of the best installation, maintenance, and customer service. Being Waco's Tempstar Elite dealer, they have the best warranties and financing options. The Clark team is knowledgeable, well-trained, and ready to serve you. Call Clark Heating and Air Conditioning today and see why they're Waco's Tempstar Elite dealer.
Lessons in Adulting, brought to you by SPJST. Hello, happy family. Congratulations on your adulting progress. You're killing it. Are you ready for the next step in your adulting journey? Great. Let's talk retirement planning. Don't be scared. SPJST is here to help with traditional and Roth IRAs to help you grow your wealth and annuities that can guarantee growth and provide income that will last your entire life. Now that's some solid adulting. SPJST, helping people adult since 1897.
Did you know BYOT Auto Parts is one of the largest buyers of used cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs in Central Texas?
We'll buy your car today, running or not, and you'll get paid top dollar on the spot. Tired of pouring money into your car? We feel your pain. Got a vehicle that's just collecting dust? We'll pick it up for free and you still get paid. Looking for quality used auto parts? Look no further at BYOT. Bring your own tools and pull your own parts. Call or visit us online today.
BYOT Auto Parts. BYOT Auto Parts. Bring your own tools, pull your own parts.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina, Garrett Ross, and Grayson Grunhafer. Sikkim365.com. And Grayson, Baylor and Colorado this week, this game is really tough to peg either way because each team has deficiencies that people know about. And some of those are the same, right? Offensive line play for both of them is not exactly stellar. It's been better for Baylor than it has been for Colorado, which is a bit of a surprise. Defensive line play has been better for Baylor, non-existent for Colorado for the most part. The secondary is better for Colorado than it has been for Baylor, and that's largely due in part to Travis Hunter. So this is really difficult to peg, and we think we have a pretty good idea of who's going to start at quarterback for Baylor, but there's the wild card of we didn't know that DeQuan Finn was all that hurt until Saturday last week anyway. So what am I to make of this game, Grayson? What am I to make of it?
I think it's one of those games where you're really going to find out, who truly is one of those teams that's I don't want to say a for sure bowl team, but I do think the winner of this game has a pretty clear path to that. And I also think the winner of this game really gives themselves a chance to have momentum to start Big 12 play. But I think you're right. There's a lot of questions about both of these teams. I think there's far more questions about Baylor, though, as far as just we don't know a lot about them, or we haven't really been shown a lot about them, especially when it comes to the offense, which obviously turned a corner against Air Force, but some of that is Air Force not being very good. And then the other of it is, Baylor changing up some things, getting some guys back healthy. But I think in general, the hardest part for, I think, everyone to peg is the biggest strength for Colorado. And that's the fact that Baylor's faced three teams that run the ball a ton and really did not attack through the air much at all. Utah did a little bit and had some success before Cam Rising got hurt. But in general, I mean, Baylor's played a bunch of teams that just want to run football, and Baylor's done a good job of stopping the run. But in this matchup, it's going to come down to, can Baylor stop Colorado from throwing the football effectively, and can they create pressure on the quarterback? Two things that no one for sure knows the answer to at this point.
Yeah, that's for sure. Sawyer Robertson had a great second half last week, and outside of the three turnovers in the first half, he was having a pretty good go of it then too. Not that he's going to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, but they kind of have an opportunity here to not create a controversy by saying, look, DeQuan Finn needs another week or so to heal up, and let's see if we can repeat this performance with Sawyer, right?
I agree. I don't really envision a path for them to not start Sawyer for this game. I think this is just one of those moments where you saw in the Air Force game, they had the three turnovers. They also had a turnover on downs as they were driving down the field to score there too. So really 4 turnovers in that first half. If those don't happen, I mean, Baylor could have ended up with 40-something points on Air Force, which would have been absolutely crazy. That does not happen very often to any of the service academies, much less Air Force. But it didn't happen, so there's still some questions there about them starting game strong and finishing. But I think if you watch Sawyer play, there's just a clear calmness and a clear knowledge of what he needs to do in this offense that I don't think we quite saw with DeQuan Finn, at least up to that point. And yes, DeQuan had to go on the road to Utah, which again is the toughest matchup Baylor is going to face all year. But I still think this is an opportunity for you to see what you have with Sawyer Robertson, to see, if what happened against Air Force was a trend or just a fluke? And I think that's going to be the biggest question going into this one, especially when you go on the road. You start facing a team with a lot of talented players with some NFL talent. Are you able to play up to the standard even against a team like that? That's something that we're going to find out about. But I think in general, Sawyer has had some nice performances, especially his two most recent ones against West Virginia and, of course, against Air Force to kind of give you some confidence.
Do you think this is going to be a rush 3, drop 8 game for the defense?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot because I do think in some cases that makes a lot of sense. I think that any chance that they can get Garmin Randolph and Steve Linton on the field at the same time would be awesome. If you were able to play those two with Jackie Marshall at nose tackle and feel okay with your ability to stop the run, that group could absolutely wreak havoc up front and might be really, really fun to watch. But I do think Baylor's going to be unique and versatile. I think they will bring 3 at times. I think they will bring 5 or 6 at times because I think they're going to want to really pressure up Shedeur. Because the more that I've thought about this, the more I think that Shedeur is more uncomfortable when he does face the pressure, when he is getting hit, versus when he's just standing in the pocket evaluating the field. I think if you only rush 3 and you don't get home, I think he's good enough to pick apart a secondary even with 8 guys back there. I think it's more about speeding up his clock, which means probably bringing more pass rushers, dialing up some unique blitzes that we probably haven't seen through the first 3 games. And that's an area that I'm very confident in what Dave Aranda brings to the table.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Grayson.
Awesome. Talk to you later.
Yeah. This is 365 Sports.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Score big savings at the Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Carr Buick. A first-year All-American and a 2024 Car and Driver Magazine Editor's Choice, the all-new Buick Envista starts at only $23,990. Or make the winning drive in a 2024 Buick Encore GX SUV and save $4,000 for non-GM car owners. Qualified buyers get 0.9% financing and no payments for 90 days. Score your deal at the Kickoff to Savings event going on now at Richard Carr Buick.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Make Camp Info the destination for your next visit to Waco. Whether you're catching a football game, exploring the silos, or just looking to get away, Camp Info Waco is conveniently located 6 miles from downtown and Baylor University. Voted the #1 best vacation rental in Waco for the last 2 years, this camping resort features cabins and RV sites and is brimming with premium amenities like on-site dining, sports courts, a swimming pool, and more. Start making unforgettable memories and book your stay at Camp Info Waco.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Paul Catalina, Garrett Ross here. The Smokes are in Lincoln, Nebraska. They went to that Illinois-Nebraska game last night. Baylor and Colorado comes up tonight. We've talked a lot about that, and we will hear in the coming segments from former Baylor quarterback J.J. Joe and former Colorado defensive lineman Matt McChesney. So let's go into the Big 12 schedule, and then we'll talk about last night, Friday night, which was a really great night for college football. 3 excellent games that all went down to the wire on Friday night in college football. Houston is at Cincinnati. That game kicks off in about an hour. The other 11 o'clock kick is Kansas at West Virginia. This is a who are you game, much like Baylor and Colorado tonight at 7 o'clock. This is a who are you. This is a pivotal season game for Kansas and West Virginia. For Neil Brown and West Virginia, who's hosting the game, is this a time where you can turn the tide back towards yourself and away from some of those questions that haunted them going into last year, where they answered them strongly with 9-4. But so far, their performances through the season at 1-2, not really all that inspiring. Losses to Pitt and right at the end, and to Penn State, where they got bludgeoned to kick off the season at home. Iowa State not playing a conference game this week. They are hosting Arkansas State, who put up some points against Michigan last week. But I think Arkansas State playing in Ann Arbor and then in Ames back-to-back weeks is just probably going to be a little bit too tough. And Iowa State looks like they might have something going. Another really interesting game. Texas Tech bounced back from their early season doldrums to bludgeon North Texas 66-21 last week. Arizona State, a surprise 3-0 team under Kenny Dillingham. What can they do in Lubbock this week? Can they keep pace with the Texas Tech scoring? And can Texas Tech stop Cam Skattebo and their running game that they've had? Skattebo, one of the more fun players to watch in all of college football. The big boy in the conference this week takes place in Stillwater as the Pokes of Oklahoma State welcome Utah. Cam Rising, a game-time decision. If he does not play, Isaac Wilson will make his second start at quarterback. Remember, Cam Rising injured his middle finger on his throwing hand, or I can't remember, but he injured his middle finger on one of his hands, so he can't flip the bird with one of them currently right now. But he is a game-time call against Oklahoma State. If that's the case, then that really throws this one into question. If Cam Rising plays, it's going to be very, very tough. TCU is at SMU in a big rivalry game, and Kansas State and BYU rounds out the Big 12 schedule. Last night, Illinois wins in overtime 31-24 over Nebraska in Lincoln. Stanford kicks a field goal at the end of the game to beat Syracuse 26-24. And Wazoo and San Jose State double overtime 54-52. And if you've not heard of John Mateer, the quarterback at Wazoo, you need to Google him. He is amazing. Over 500 total yards last night, passing and rushing in that win for the Wazoo Cougars. Coming up next, former Baylor quarterback J.J. Joe. This is Game Day Live.
It's Du Bois Furniture's summer farewell sale. Update your home with amazing savings. You'll find a great selection of stylish finds at unbeatable prices, plus clearance items marked up to 80% off or special financing. Now at Du Bois Furniture.
At Jeff Hunter Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we build relationships. For more than 30 years, we've proudly served the Waco community, sharing Toyota's commitment to quality and embodying Waco values every step of the way. From our friendly sales team to our expert service technicians, our priority is always you, our valued customer. Shop Jeff Hunter Toyota or go to jeffhuntertoyota.com. Jeff Hunter Toyota. Toyota quality, Waco values.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. My son Spencer was killed in a motorcycle accident. It broke my heart into a million pieces. This young driver was only 17 years old with no license, and his mother said that it was my son's fault. I was so devastated. My life changed forever. When I needed him the most, Daniel Starr was there for me.
The difference is stark.
It's Du Bois Furniture's summer farewell mattress sale. Say goodnight, sleep tight on a comfortable new mattress on sale now. Plus big savings on closeout mattresses, all with special financing. The summer farewell mattress sale at Du Bois Furniture.
Watch the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show every Friday night at 10. Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
J. Joe, Baylor radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback, joins us on 365 Sports Baylor at Colorado. We've mentioned that with Gary Barnett and also discussed it ourselves. JJ, all right, you played the position. Sawyer was efficient. The offense had really kind of seemed like they were they were rolling. They just, of course, the turnovers were deadly in some ways. What do you do? What do you do this week? DeQuan Finn, apparently, according to Dave Aranda, is back at practice. How do you handle this week if you were Dave Aranda?
Well, I mean, I think and Smoke, it's good to see you. I think that Sawyer put him in a pickle a little bit. But if we believe the reports, and I know coaches like to hold stuff, until they make an official announcement. If we're to believe the reports during the fall, the spring, the summer, the fall, it's that the competition was neck and neck. And if that's the case, I would think based on the performances that coach has seen, that there's no way he can take Sawyer out of the starting lineup. Typically what happens is when a guy comes in, usually it can happen in the spring, but it really happens in games. Either a guy, wins the hearts and minds of the team, or he doesn't. And that's usually based on your performance. So if you ask me, I think that Sawyer has, he's given coach no reason to put him back on the bench. And DeQuan had 2 games. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but he had an opportunity to run with the gig, and it did happen. So that would be my thought.
JJ, is it a good problem to have or a bad problem to have?
No, I think it's good. And I said this at post game, and I also wrote it for you guys today. You just hope that I'm not sure. I don't know DeQuan that well. You hope he's a very mature young man. I know he came with high hopes that, he recognizes that Sawyer sat there while he had a chance he won the position, had a chance to start 2 games, and Sawyer kind of had to work with it. And Sawyer's a 4th-year guy. And right now he has to, if coach chooses this direction, he has to hopefully be the kind of teammate that where if Sawyer gets the call on Saturday, he's going to be ready, prepared to support. So I think it's a good thing because you have 2 quarterbacks that can start a game and go win you a game. And that's always a plus.
JJ, what were your thoughts on just, Bryson Washington came in, obviously made a huge difference as well, of just the infusion of Washington and Robertson. What do you think that did for this offense, and how did it look to you as you walked away on Saturday?
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's one time in the game, and I forget if it must have been second half, because we didn't really get going in the first half. But I was watching them as they went out. They went out, I think we're waiting on a TV timeout, and I was just watching the receivers. They had a 3-receiver set to the press box side, so I had a good view. And I'm not sure if it was Ashton or if it was Monterey. It was a smaller guy, so it was one of those guys. He's out there dancing, dude. That's all I had to see, because I didn't see dancing in the first 2 games. I saw him dancing and it wasn't dancing like he's trying out for competition. He's kind of kicking like, hey, dude, we're active. And I just think that it's a good, like I said, we talked about a good situation. I just think that the life it injects, the guys, that whole second half, man, I was thinking like, shoot, I wish I would have saw this against Utah, because I think it was just simply everybody recognizing that the new guy that he's put in, Sawyer, is able, for whatever reason, able to activate everybody and put everybody in play and really make us move the ball well. So that's always, man, you're happy as a player when that happens.
JJ, this Colorado team is explosive at the skill positions. They have the best player in the country probably in Travis Hunter. He's absolutely unbelievable. Now, where do you see Baylor having advantages here? Neither team is particularly proficient at running the ball, but Baylor showed some propensity for that last week, and that's what they're going to have to do to win this game. Where do you think this they can get over on Colorado on the road?
Yeah, I think if you're Colorado, number one, you want to try your best to keep Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter off the field, and I think you have to be prepared. Of course, to have to score points if you have to. But for the most part, I think Baylor's advantage to me, teams have showed, even though Colorado State didn't show it and Baylor hadn't shown a great run game. I think Baylor has to run the ball this week. That helps shrink the clock just a little bit, slows them down, keeps Shedeur off the field. And I think it starts to demoralize them. All the teams have been able to run the ball on them. You can see it. About halfway through, Shedeur starts pressing. And I think that's what we want. We want something in where, number one, there's two ways to get Shedeur to press based on what I've seen. One, he's not getting that many opportunities. He will press and take chances. And then, of course, when he gets behind, he'll take chances as well. I think that's one area. And the second area is Garmin, Trevon. I think on the edge, we got a chance to win. I think they struggled on the edges, their tackles. I mean, those guys got to put pressure on Shedeur and get him off his spot. He's very good. I mean, you think of his dad, you think he'd be very mobile, throw on the run real well. And he can move and throw, but it's better to get him off his spot, because if you let him sit on his spot, he doesn't miss very much.
JJ, I feel like we haven't seen much from the secondary in these first few games, right? I mean, definitely not in this past game. It was practically all run. What have you seen from the secondary from what we've seen, and what have you been able to glean from that?
No, I think we're very much, Craig, you mentioned, we're very much untested, man. I mean, I'm concerned a little bit just because, this will be the first team we've seen that's going to have some guys. That they have two guys, but besides Travis, so they have a couple, but besides Travis, I think it's Horn. I forget, it's Jim Horn. I think Jim Horn Jr., but those guys can go. And one of my concerns is that what I saw in the Utah game is both Caden and Snacks got a little handsy. And if you're getting handsy, although Utah has some solid receivers, I'm not knocking solid receivers. I mean, Utah's receivers, but I believe that Jim Horn Jr. and Travis Hunter may be the best two we see this year. Now I'm just kind of reaching it because I don't know everybody, so I'm a little concerned about that. But if the formula here, man, is the defensive line, the two guys I just talked about on the end, they ought to be licking their chops and trying to go get that quarterback. I think there's opportunities to get this quarterback because they still struggle at the tackle position.
I asked Gary Barnett, we had him on earlier, obviously the former Colorado Northwestern coach. You played the position at quarterback. Is there anything that protects a quarterback more than a good run game?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's what made me effective passing it. I wasn't the greatest passer. I mean, I could throw it, love to throw it. That's what I did in high school. But the fact that we had a commitment to running the ball, it gives you a lot of really what I would say predetermined coverage. I mean, typically, if you can run the ball, you see it in the NFL. In the NFL, if a young quarterback has a good run game, like a Dak had, or even some of these quarterbacks come in, oh man, I mean, they look like a stud because they're seeing predictive coverages. You're seeing a man free, you're seeing 3 deep. Every once in a while, you may see a 2 deep, but shoot, if you run the ball good, they don't want to play 2 deep because they got to get one of those safeties down the box. So it really makes the game simpler for the quarterback because all of a sudden they're not doing all this exotic, zone blitzes and all that stuff because they figure, hey, these guys might even run the ball on 3rd and 6 or 7 or even 8 if they're good at it.
JJ, who have you seen that has exceeded their performance from a year ago, in your opinion, through these first 3?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. The first one that pops off the sheet to me that I think of is I really liking what I'm seeing from Matt. We're getting from Matt now what I really wanted to see from Matt last year. I'm not sure what Matt's true speed is, but Matt has a really good, what I would call an NFL body, I believe. And I believe he's a guy that if he has a good year, like he's starting off to have this year, he can play his way, I think, into, I think he'll get a chance on Sundays anyway. I think he'll play his way into, maybe, if not a late draft choice, someone that's in the mix. So Matt, as I thought, played well from last year. I'm trying to think off of, what I could think of the guys coming back, but he's the first one that jumps off the sheet to me because he's played well in his first 3 games.
Did you ever, and again, I know that the Big 12 changed, and did you ever play a game in Colorado?
Oh, yeah, we played up there twice. Smoke, we won. We beat them. They were defending national champs in 91. We beat them up there.
Mm-hmm.
The first home loss in like 18 games. And then we played them again in 93. They spanked us for that. we remember what y'all did. They had Cordell Stewart, and they had a good squad. But it's a different place to play. It's normal big formal Big 8 place because the stands are just right up on you. There's no room between the stands and the players. And it does. I mean, it takes you a little bit to get used to the thin air. But our guys have played at Utah already, played at BYU last year, so they kind of have an understanding of what that's like. But it's a beautiful place to play.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Great to see your face too, JJ. Good luck with the broadcast Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
Saturday.
Take care.
Thank you, JJ Joe, Baylor radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback with us on 365 Sports.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. Get out of the heat and come check out our Labor Day sales event in the largest showroom in Texas at Bird Colgin Ford. Right now, get 3.9% on the F-150. Save big with 2.9 on the Ford Explorer. Don't miss 1.9 on the Ford Escape. Come celebrate the final days of summer during the Labor Day sales event at Bird Colgin Ford. Experience better at BK Ford.
KWTX Dynamic Grid of Skycams in Central Texas shows you the weather right where you are. Live images around Central Texas are available 24 hours a day on air and online. And with the most experienced weather team in Central Texas, KWTX Skycam Network lets us give you real-time views of extreme weather in and around your community. Sponsored by Ray Broker Air Conditioning, serving all of Central Texas. Ray Broker is home of the free first service call.
Since 1953, Genco Federal Credit Union has been providing a wide variety of financial solutions for our members at every age and at every stage of life. Whether you're just starting out or close to retirement or anywhere in between, Genco wants to be your credit union. For lower loan rates, lower fees, and full mobile banking services, visit GencoFCU.org today.
My money, my future, my credit union, Genco.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
McChesney joins us again. I said this in the wrap of the last segment. You're one of the most intense Colorado Buffaloes that's out there. You are. I know that you, as a former player and a person who loves the program, suffered through a lot of the dark times because you know what the program can be. Now, the last couple years have been exciting in some regards, and then a struggle a little bit because they haven't gotten there yet. Where do you see the program right now and what they need to do to get back to the place where they are competing for this conference title?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on. Every time I come on this show, I love it. You guys are awesome. Look, you're right. It has been hard. I mean, I'm going on 43 years old here in November, and I was a captain on the team that won a bowl game last in Boulder in 2004. So it's been a rough 20 years, and and not talking crap, but I know that the Baylor faithful they feel that they had a long stretch where they had a rough couple of decades as well. So when you can pull out of that, even if it is only a 3-win increase, but still the national attention and everything that comes with Coach Prime, it's been awesome, man. I mean, we're just riding the wave here in Boulder. So I prefer it when everyone hates us. I prefer it when everyone's got, a little bit of bad blood towards us. And back in the day, it used to be because we were whipping, but now it's because of a lot of different reasons. So a little disdain and a little tension in college football is a good thing. So if people are usually a little venomous towards you or your university, that's probably because you're doing something right. So I think that the entire experiment up to this point has worked. They've got incredible talent on that team this year, and I think it's a much different team than it was last year. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday, bro. I can't wait.
They've got to get better up front, which I know is the issue that is near and dear to your heart as a former lineman and someone who did that. Defensively, it looks like they've made some steps. Offensively, they still can't run the ball. What do you see changing, and what have you seen change that they're going to have to run the ball to win the games of the Big 12, but stopping the run especially so that they can get the ball back in Shedeur Sanders' hands and spread it around to those playmakers?
Well, look, I think that just talking about the offense first, in the first 2 games of the season, North Dakota State, I'm not going to say they didn't try and run the ball. They did to a point. They just had such a massive advantage with our skill players and throwing the football down the field and being the first game of the year and never playing each other and having no history and really no film. It's very similar to TCU last year where guys are just running wide open. So you had to take advantage of that. Nebraska was humbling. I was at the game. My son went as a recruit of the Huskers, which had my head spinning, but it was pretty cool. Man, it was a crazy afternoon. I'm really good friends with Matt Rule and Coach Knighton and everybody. But when I was standing on the Nebraska sideline and I'm like, Nick's getting quartered by him, I'm sitting there like, oh, man, my God, my heart's about to explode. But it was a humbling experience, and it was needed. It forced the coaching staff and Coach Prime primarily to go in and really take control of what they wanted to do. And then last week they went 19 carries for 109 yards and 5.7 yards a clip. And I understand that it's against CSU, but I also heard everyone picking CSU last week before CU dismantled them. So, I think that they got a lot better last week, but look, this is a different animal. Your defensive line is real. Your defense is fast. Arguably, you guys should have won that game in Salt Lake City. I mean, I thought you outplayed Utah all day. So this is no cakewalk up front, and it's going to be a good test. I don't know if you guys are as good as Nebraska is up front. That is one mean group, but it's going to be a dogfight all night in the trench on offense. So I love the improvement they made, but they have to stay hungry and humble. Play 5 as 1, and then Coach Lone Holt, who is a student and an ex-player of Coach Bill Beatonbaugh at Oklahoma, who, in my opinion, is the best offensive line coach maybe in the history of college football. That guy gets the most out of his guys, and you can see a lot of the traits that he teaches his Oklahoma guys, because we've sent kids there in the past, and Josh Bates, their starting center, is one of our guys from 6-0 Football Academy, and it's, we're constantly in communication. They've got a couple of our recruits out there in Norman, and when you talk to Bill, that's exactly what Coach Lone Holt sounds like in Boulder now, talking to him. So they're trying to implement that scheme, and Oklahoma's ran it for a long time successfully, and I think they can do it in Boulder.
Matt McChesney, go to find his podcast there on the Believe Network. He's great. We love having him on. Enjoy the game this week, Matt. We'll talk to you soon.
Amen, brother. Go Buffs.
All right, there we go. Golly. That is solid gold segment every time. Solid gold segment.
Every time.
Every single time.
It's time to score big savings at the Kickoff to Savings event on GMC Trucks at Richard Carr GMC. Take the winning drive with the Texas Truck MVP. GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road. Save $9,000 on 2024 GMC Sierra SLT models in stock with approved trade-in. Plus, qualified buyers get 1.9% financing and no payments for 90 days. See dealer for details. Save big and score your deal at the Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Carr GMC.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved, learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Welcome back to Game Day Live. Paul Catalina and Garrett Ross producing, and thanks to all of our friends over at KWTX as well here on Game Day Live. Baylor in Colorado tonight at 7 o'clock in Boulder. Baylor's wearing the all-whites, and that's Garrett, is that controversial?
Well, the situation was Colorado announced that they were going to wear their all whites, but Baylor is contractually obligated to have a game with the all whites, and they had intended on doing it the same night. So I'm hoping, just for the fun of it, I think everybody goes all white.
I think the road team gets to pick.
Right.
So the road team picks when they wear their all whites.
Yeah.
So Colorado can't. And of course, here's the thing. I don't know what Dave Aranda will make of this. Probably nothing. Because it really is. But I do think the guy on the other side will use whatever he can to motivate the team. He's got that, like, let's put a chip on our shoulder about a little thing deal, you know?
Yep.
So I think they'll
all use it. Everybody on Colorado will use it if they can't rock the whites, because theirs are clean as well. But I was hoping that we would get this like an all-white affair. Just everybody out of spite would say, no, we're standing our ground on this. But we'll see.
Look, they had to do it.
Yeah.
Again, these are like minor controversies.
Correct.
These are minor controversies. But in sports, they get amplified. Yeah. I love to tell the story about it was very funny about Kansas was playing a video at Allen Fieldhouse while Baylor
Oh, I remember this.
Was going out. And it was so loud that Scott Drew couldn't give his like usual like little like
the speech
90-second like it's just a pregame like, hey, remember this, not even a speech, not a rah-rah speech or anything. Remember to do this, like those, like just the checklist, like keep your head about you, don't pay attention. So he took them off into the tunnel a little bit so they could hear, because it was this blaring music and this huge hype video, and they do that well at Allen Fieldhouse, better than almost anybody. So Bill Self saw it and went to, I believe it was Devontae Graham, and said, hey, they're not paying respect to you. They're hiding in the tunnel, and then just kind of and they just kind of let it go. Like, that's all he said. Just kind of let it go. And then in the post game, Devontae Graham's like, man, that pissed us off. We were mad. And you're like, what?
The motivation is so fascinating to me by coaches.
Then I'm watching Bill Self, and somebody asked him about it, and he's like, oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
Well, I just made an observation. Like, I just went and told them, like, hey, they're not watching the video. I mean, he can react how he wants to react. Yeah. Like, what brilliant. I mean, just brilliant stuff. Top 25 today. There's some interesting ones. Clemson and NC State. And NC State probably rolling out there without Grayson McCall. But NC State has kind of given Clemson the business recently. Mm-hmm. And Dave Doran, I think, really gets fired. I think this is his favorite one. I think he really likes to stick it to Clemson. Really interesting one in Ann Arbor, number 11 Michigan, number 11 USC, who's on the up, and number 18 Michigan, who's on the down. Right now, Michigan changing quarterbacks to Alex Orji, who is from Texas.
Saxe.
Yeah, he's from Saxe, Texas. But we don't know if they can have any kind of passing game in Ann Arbor. And when I say we, I mean the collective we of everybody who watches football anywhere in the world. LSU, Garrett's favorite team, welcomes UCLA to Tiger Stadium. Should not have trouble with that one, but Garrett's perpetually nervous. A couple of Louisville and Georgia Tech should be very interesting in the ACC. Of course, in the Big 12, we already talked about Utah and Oklahoma State. Cam Rising, once again, a game-time decision. Upset potential, trap game potential. Miami goes to Tampa to take on USF, who's a pretty darn good team. So this is a trap game special because Miami's feeling themselves right now. But this is their first real test, and I include going to the Swamp and drubbing Florida in that. Clearly not a test for a coach for playing a team whose coach is going to get fired, as where Alex Golish went to Tuscaloosa and gave Bama all they wanted.
That's the key right there.
Until they just couldn't deal with with Jalen Milroe anymore. It was that. Former Big 12 member Oklahoma has their first SEC game against Tennessee. And Tennessee is red, smoking hot. Texas welcomes UL Monroe. And Arch Manning will start that game as Quinn Ewers still recovers. And no one is sad about that. Everybody's thrilled about every quarterback that takes a snap at Texas, whether it be Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning. And, of course, that brings us to predictions for tonight. Garrett, I believe you picked Baylor in a close game.
So I took Baylor 35-34 in this game. I really think it's going to hinder on their defense, but I like Dave Aranda's ability, his mindset, and I think defense travels, and we'll see it tonight in Boulder.
Yeah, I think I put like 34-28 or something like that.
Really
it's going to be close. I picked Baylor because of the defense and the run game, but it is at Colorado. Colorado's a 1-point favorite. This game should be very close. I don't think either team is good enough to blow the other one out. So whatever happens, it's going to be close. So thank you to everybody who joined the show today. Matt McChesney, JJ Joe, Grayson Grundhafer, Gary Barnett. Thanks to Garrett Ross. Thanks to Roy Nogeltree. Thanks to Josh Young and Darby Brown and Chad and everybody at KWTX for helping us in doing all this. This is a great partnership. We love it. Of course, you can watch us every day, 3 to 6 on 365 Sports, and my show, 1 to 2, Monday through Thursday, the triple option, also on 365 Sports. So once again, thanks to Garrett Ross and everybody who had a hand in this show. It's always really fun to get to talk to you every Saturday morning at 9 when there is a Baylor game. Enjoy it. Have a great football weekend. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Who's going head-to-head this week in the Zimmerman Marquee matchup? You decide. Go to KWTX.com and cast your vote today. Sponsored by